Almost all American journalism is controlled by a few massive corporations. News Voice is a one-of-a-kind mobile app that tracks the bias and corporate interests that infuse the news stories we consume every day, and it's completely free to use. Go to newsvoice.com/Pakman to download it. One of the great tragedies of the Trump administration is that almost everything, rather than mostly everything, is pure politics. It's just sport. It's wins and losses. It's blame and credit. And this applies as well to the cool virus dance party, as some people suggested we call it to avoid demonetization for talking about it. And Donald Trump is now blaming the Obama administration for the Trump administration's response to the virus. Check this out. One of the things that we've learned is that the U.S. is barely doing any testing for it. If you're not sick enough to have to be hospitalized in many cases, even if you're suspected of having it, having the symptoms, you often aren't tested. And the effect of this, of course, is that the reported number of cases in the United States is likely drastically understating the number of real cases. And if you don't get a positive test result and you actually do have it, you're more likely to go out in public, possibly infect others if you think you don't have it, than someone who knows that they have it and is more likely to go home and self-quarantine. Donald Trump is blaming the lack of testing on Barack Obama. Take a look at this.
I just want to add, if I might, and to go a little bit further, the Obama administration made a decision on testing that turned out to be very detrimental to what we're doing, and we undid that decision a few days ago so that the testing can take place in a much more accurate and rapid fashion. That was a decision we disagreed with. I don't think we would have made it, but for some reason it was made, but we've undone that decision. Also, when people come in from certain areas, we're doing checks not only at the site of takeoff, but at the site of landing. So when they land in our country, we'll also do that's if the planes are leaving from certain destinations.
So nobody in the room seemingly with any idea what Donald Trump is talking about. A decision Obama made and Trump undid it. So a reporter did the right thing and followed up and said, what rule are you talking about? What is this about Obama now? And Mike Pence, who's leading this entire fiasco, says, oh, yeah. FDA jurisdiction something.
Mr. President, you mentioned an Obama-era rule that you had changed regarding this virus. I didn't follow that.
Well, let's talk about it. Go ahead.
We could talk. Bob Redfield, you might speak about the last administration asserted FDA jurisdiction over testing and the development of tests like this. And Bob, the President changed that on Saturday so that now, as I spoke to several governors this morning, states now have the ability to actually conduct the coronavirus test in state labs, university laboratories.
Big difference.
And that's because of the change the president authorized.
Right. Because of Obama, states couldn't test, or is it they couldn't develop tests, or what? Laboratories, what is it? Universities? This is gaslighting. Donald Trump disbanded the pandemic response team. Donald Trump gutted funding to the CDC. Donald Trump resisted treating this seriously for weeks and if not months, and continues to do so. And as far as the claim about the FDA, an aide to Republican Senator Lamar Alexander said, the Obama administration didn't do anything. Obama proposed giving the FDA more oversight over some tests. It didn't go through. The truth that Donald Trump won't tell you is that his CDC made a mistake. They tried to create their own test instead of accepting the test that's been made available by the World Health Organization. The CDC test failed, and now we're in a situation where we don't even know how many cases we have. It almost takes some skill, some creativity, or at least some malignant narcissism to make this even somehow about Barack Obama. You know, blaming the last guy for debt or unemployment numbers, it's at least theoretically viable. Blaming the last guy 3 years into your presidency for your response to a pandemic threat would only work on, I guess, exactly the types of people who think Donald Trump is doing a great job. I would go further. Weren't the testing forms in Hillary's emails, which she bleached and acid washed off of her private server? Like, go even further. And meanwhile, they say, we don't want to politicize this the way Democrats are politicizing the virus. And while we're on this topic, don't forget how the anti-Obama people in 2014 were reacting to Obama's handling of Ebola, which of course ended up not becoming a global pandemic and about which all conversation simply stopped the day after the 2014 midterms. Republicans would have had you think we had a domestic crisis on our hands in the United States, thanks to Barack Obama on Ebola, right up until the day of the 2014 midterms, at which point we barely heard a word about Ebola again. But they don't want what's going on now politicized by Democrats. It's pathetic, it's disgusting, and it's leading to more people being sick. This is not a joke. This is not, did I increase or decrease the deficit? This is life and death, and it's absolutely disgusting.